John Floyd was born in 1750 in Amherst County, Virginia, to William and Abediah Davis Floyd. His father was of Welsh descent. During his youth, Floyd and his 8 siblings helped his father on the farm. His family was not of the wealthy class, but got by. His education is unknown, but considering his endeavors and successful position, he learned to read, write, and spell. In 1768, he married Brunelle Burford. Sadly, she died during birth of their daughter. John named her Morning. He gave her to his wife's grandmother. John became a surveyor and studied under Colonel William Preston. In 1772, Fincastle County was formed and John became deputy surveyor. A party was organized to survey land in Kentucky, and John was made to be the leader of this party. On this trip, Floyd carried warrants for Hugh Mercer, George Washington, and Patrick Henry. When they arrived at the mouth of the Kentucky River, some men went on to Fort Harrod. Floyd and the rest of the party moved on towards the Falls of the Ohio. They surveyed in what is now Jefferson County. Floyd and his crew moved east and began surveying around present-day Midway. Floyd returned home. As soon as Floyd returned, Lord Dunmore's War began. Floyd missed the Battle of Point Pleasant and, after the war, planned his second trip to Kentucky. Floyd got word of the Transylvania Company's dealings, and about the same time Floyd was crossing over the Cumberland Gap. He was joined by John Todd, Benjamin Logan, who had a military claim, and his guide was James Knox. On their way, they crossed the Rockcastle River and headed west on Skaggs Trace. They went through what is now Crab Orchard, and on March 1, 1775, 25 miles south of Harrodsburg, they made camp and planted corn. They called this area St. Asaph. Floyd surveyed land for Logan. He then left for Boonesboro. John Floyd attended the Transylvania Company as a delegate. Land conflicts began. Floyd focused on his home at Woodstock, which is located on Boones Creek, 7 miles northwest of Boonesboro. Floyd became the land clerk at Boonesboro. In 1776, Floyd returned to Virginia to get livestock and supplies for his return to Kentucky. When he returned in May, land problems began to grow, and Floyd was in the middle. So the Revolutionary War began. After returning home, he headed to Williamsburg, hoping to get a surveying job, but that didn't happen. He joined a privateer. The Phoenix went to the West Indies and returned. However, on the way back, the ship was captured by the British ship Galatea. It was taken to New York Harbor. John Floyd and the crew were then taken to Portsmouth, England. During his trial, he claimed that he had no ill intentions and was acquitted. He was released and traveled to France. He went to the American Embassy and was able to get funds to travel back to America. Floyd was back in Virginia in late 1777. He became sick, dealing with malaria and smallpox, and had to be nursed back to health. He became a militia officer and was summoned to testify about the Transylvania Company. The purchase was declared void. Floyd married again on November 2, 1778, to Jane Buchanan. They moved to Floyd's farm, Acadia, in Amherst County. They had a total of 3 children together, and they headed west towards what is now Louisville. They built a cabin on Beargrass Creek and began clearing land. He had 3 stations. Louisville was established by the Virginia legislature, and John Floyd was one of the first trustees. He was also appointed county lieutenant of Jefferson County. Floyd joined George Rogers Clark and led the militia from Beargrass and Louisville. They were able to take Chillicothe and Peque. Floyd joined another campaign to attack Detroit. During this campaign, he was the colonel of Jefferson County. Native American attacks continued and 47 people were killed around the Beargrass Station. The Long Run Massacre took place, and when the surveyors arrived at Lynn Station, Floyd gathered up men and headed to face the Native Americans. When he arrived, he noticed quickly that he was outnumbered, and many of his men were killed. They were able to retreat by charging through the ranks of the natives, but Floyd was shot and his horse was killed. After the Revolutionary War had officially ended, another British invasion occurred in Kentucky, and a siege took place at Bryan Station, and the Battle of the Blue Licks followed. Accounts differ if Floyd was at the battle or not. Another retaliation invasion was planned by Clark, and he gave Floyd command over the Jefferson and Fayette County men. On March 28, 1783, Floyd wrote to Colonel Preston, "If the war is continuing much longer, I can hardly escape, yet every man in this country must be more or less exposed to danger. 11 days later, John Floyd was mortally wounded. During an ambush near Bullitt's Salt Lick, John Floyd was shot in the upper part of his arm. The bullet was stuck inside. His brother Charles helped John stay on his horse until they got to John Francis Moore's cabin at Fish Pools. John died 2 days later. 10 days after his death, Floyd's widow gave birth to another son. She named him John. She remained at the station and remarried. I hope you've enjoyed learning about John Floyd. He is one of many who have been forgotten. He was instrumental in the settling of Kentucky. He surveyed many acres and helped settle many land disputes. His name does remain in the state. Floyd County, the 40th county of Kentucky, was named after John Floyd. Don't forget to try out audibletrial.com/kyhistorypod. If you'd like to support the channel, check out patreon.com/kyhistorypod. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more Kentucky history content. Find us on these social media platforms, and check out the Kentucky History Podcast on these podcast platforms for more in-depth history of Kentucky. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.